Welcome to Chapter 15. We turn now to what government actually does, to the substantive policies that translate political ideals and electoral coalitions into rules that govern our economic and social lives. We've spent a lot of time on institutions, parties, and elections. Now we examine the outputs, tax rates, healthcare coverage, environmental standards, trade tariffs, infrastructure investment. Let me start with definitions. A policy is a prescribed course of action for those who work for government, a set of operational principles through which officials attempt to accomplish desired social or economic goals. Public policy, more specifically, is a government plan of action to solve a problem people share collectively or cannot solve on their own through private market activity. Domestic policy encompasses all the policies governing how government operates within the United States. Understanding domestic policy requires understanding both the substance of particular policy areas and the process by which policy is made. Who has authority, through what institutional channels, under what political and legal constraints. So this chapter will move between the how and the what. Policy making in the United States is distributed across all three branches and all levels of government. Congress is the primary source of domestic legislation. New public policies typically originate as bills that pass both chambers and are signed into law. But the president also shapes domestic policy through executive orders, regulatory guidance to agencies, the annual budget proposal, and the veto. The courts, especially the Supreme Court, make public policy whenever they rule on the constitutionality of legislation or the legality of executive action. Decisions like NFIB v. Sebelius upholding the ACA, West Virginia v. EPA limiting EPA regulatory authority, and Dobbs v. Jackson overruling Roe, all represent major domestic policymaking by the judicial branch, and the federal bureaucracy shapes policy through the regulatory process, translating statutory mandates into specific rules that govern behavior. Now, political scientists categorize domestic policies by how they distribute costs and benefits, and this typology is useful. Redistributive policies use resources from wealthier segments of society to provide benefits for lower income groups. The progressive income tax, Medicaid, and food stamps are redistributive. Distributive policies spread costs across the entire population while concentrating benefits on particular groups or localities. Federal highway construction, agricultural subsidies, and public universities have distributive features. Regulatory policies control behavior rather than distributing resources. Environmental standards, workplace safety rules, food safety requirements. Understanding which type of policy is being contested often illuminates why political conflict takes the form it does. Redistributive policies generate the most intense conflict because they explicitly take resources from some and give them to others. Distributive policies tend to build broader coalitions because everyone shares the costs while benefits are concentrated. Keep this typology in mind as we work through the substantive areas.